Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My daughter-in-law said, "You'll be fine in the storeroom," so I laughed. But she had no idea what I'd planned from there. The way you treat those beneath you reveals who you truly are, but you never know who's watching from the shadows. My name is Evelyn Carter. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio. I'm 63 years old, and apparently, too old to matter anymore. You'll be fine in the storeroom. That's what she said. With her freshly manicured nails pointing at that cold, dusty little box beside the laundry room. You've got everything you need, don't you? She added, smiling, like it was some kind of luxury suite. But I wasn't smiling. Because I knew what this really was, a boot. A shove. A loud and clear message from my own daughter-in-law, "You're no longer welcome here." And I wish I could tell you I was shocked, but deep down, I saw this day coming. "Are you serious, Amanda?" I snapped, my voice cracking with rage. "You want me to live in that storage closet like some forgotten old coat?" "Lower your voice," she hissed, glancing toward the hallway, where my son, her husband, was conveniently absent again. "We have guests arriving in an hour, and I won't have you ruining the evening with one of your pity parties." Pity party? I stepped closer to her, my hands trembling, not from weakness, but restraint. "You think it's a pity party to want a bed that doesn't fold into a wall? You think it's asking too much to sleep in a real room?" I raised your husband. I worked 2 jobs so he could finish college. I buried my husband alone. I sold our family home to move here and help you too with the kids. Amanda folded her arms and tilted her head, like she was doing me a favor just listening. "Yes," she said coldly. "And we appreciated it. But you've been here a year. We're starting a new chapter now. You said you wanted less stress. That little room is quiet. It's private. It has a plug for your heating pad. What more do you want?" "Respect," I growled. "That's what I want." She smirked. "Well, maybe you should have thought about that before overstaying your welcome." I could hear my own pulse in my ears. "You ungrateful little," I stopped myself. My hand clenched around the chair by the kitchen counter, knuckles white. But Amanda wasn't done. "Oh no." She leaned in close, too close, and whispered, "You think I don't know why you're really here, Evelyn? You want to act like some sweet grandma, but you've been watching everything. You're nosy. You dig. And I'm done pretending I don't see it." She thought she could break me. She didn't know who she was dealing with. Because I had been watching. I had been listening. And I knew things Amanda didn't think I'd ever figure out. About her job. About her friends. About her so-called charity events. You can only push a woman so far before she pushes back. I stared her down, breathing steady now. "Fine," I said slowly. "If the storeroom is what you think I deserve, then I'll go." She blinked, surprised, maybe, that I gave in so fast. But in that moment, I wasn't surrendering. I was planting the first seed. Because from that little room, that storeroom she threw me in like some unwanted holiday box, I was going to watch her whole empire come crumbling down. People always think age means weakness. That once you pass a certain number, you're harmless. Forgettable. Easy to ignore. But here's the truth, age doesn't erase intelligence. Or memory. Or justice. The way Amanda treated me, like furniture to be pushed aside, was going to come back to her. Tenfold. She didn't just give me a storeroom. She gave me a vantage point. And I was going to use it. Don't scroll just yet, because what Amanda didn't know was that her harmless mother-in-law had already started the clock on a plan months in the making. What happened next turned her whole world upside down, and it all began with one secret I wasn't supposed to hear. So stay with me, because trust me. You won't believe what I uncovered from that little room. The door clicked shut behind me with a finality that stung. I looked around the space Amanda had banished me to, a glorified storage closet with a cot, a flickering bulb overhead, a thin curtain for privacy, and the scent of mothballs soaked into the walls. One small, drafty window gave a glimpse into the backyard. Nothing more. This was where she thought I belonged. But as I sat down on the edge of that narrow cot, heart still pounding from the fight, I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't even scream. Because in the silence, I started smiling. She had no idea what she'd just handed me: distance. Privacy. A quiet place with no eyes watching me, no one listening. A place she wouldn't check. A place where I could do what I'd been waiting to do for months, without interruption. It started 3 months ago. I noticed Amanda's patterns shifting. Calls she'd taken the pantry with the door closed, packages arriving late at night with no return labels, text messages she'd hide under the table when my son walked into the room. At first, I brushed it off. I thought, maybe she's just private. Maybe she's planning a surprise. Maybe I'm being paranoid. But mothers know. We know when something's off. And it all clicked one day when I heard her on the phone. She thought I was out back gardening, but I'd forgotten my gloves and came back inside. Her voice filtered through the kitchen vent, sharp and smug. No, he has no idea. Honestly, if I keep playing this right, the whole account will be in my name before the end of the quarter. My feet froze. I held my breath. She was talking about money. My son's money. The joint account he inherited after his father passed, the savings I'd helped protect, the college fund I'd helped grow, the nest egg I'd worked 2 jobs to build with my late husband. And she was planning something. Something big. Now, sitting in the storeroom, I opened the old shoebox I'd been keeping hidden in my suitcase. Inside were the copies. Every withdrawal Amanda had made that didn't add up. Every transfer to her consulting firm that didn't actually exist. I'd gone to the library and printed bank statements while they thought I was walking the dog. I had everything. I pulled out a small notebook, battered, leather-bound, and filled with scribbled dates, observations, even overheard phone numbers. I wasn't just collecting data. I was building a case. Because if Amanda wanted to make this a game, I'd already learned the rules. That night, through the thin walls, I heard them laughing in the living room. Not with me, never with me anymore, but with their guests. Fake, shallow giggles, wine glasses clinking, Amanda performing like the star of her own little soap opera. She's resting, Amanda told someone when they asked where I was. She needs her space now. Her memory's not what it used to be. I nearly laughed out loud. My memory was sharp enough to know exactly what she was doing, and more importantly, I'd just discovered something else. From the small vent above the cot, I could hear everything. It connected to the hallway and to the living room. The acoustics in this old house worked in my favor. The next day, I started jotting it all down. Names. Times. Plans. And that's when I heard something that made my blood run cold. She doesn't need to know yet, Amanda whispered, her voice low but clear. The shares transfer after the next board meeting. Then the power of attorney. Once that's signed, we don't need her involved at all. Someone else responded, a man's voice, too deep to be my son. And your husband won't suspect? Amanda laughed. No. He's too busy working. And he trusts me. That's the beauty of it. I stopped writing. Power of attorney? She wanted control of everything, not just his finances, but mine too. My name was still on some of the documents from the estate. Amanda had been buttering me up for months. Making me tea, asking about my health, dropping comments like you should rest more or you really shouldn't stress at your age. I thought she was trying to be kind. But she was trying to make me look incompetent. Now it wasn't just about revenge. It was about war. And I wasn't going to fight it with fists or screaming matches, Amanda was too polished for that. She thrived on image, charm, illusion. But if I could strip that away. If I could get her to expose herself. If I could show my son what she truly was without ever raising my voice. Then I wouldn't just win. I'd bury her. So the next morning, I walked into the kitchen with shaky hands and a tired smile. "Morning, Amanda," I said sweetly, holding my teacup with both hands like an old, doddering woman. She barely looked up from her laptop. "Everything okay? Did you sleep all right?" "Oh yes," I said, sitting gently on the stool beside the counter. "It's quiet down there. Peaceful. Makes me think more clearly, you know?" She looked at me then. Just a flicker, uncertainty, maybe. She didn't know what I meant. But she would. Soon. They say revenge is best served cold. But I didn't want cold. I wanted quiet. Slow. Precise. Like the way a spider weaves a web while the fly is still flapping its wings, unaware that every move brings it closer to the trap. Amanda was still flapping. Still smiling. Still strutting through the house like she was queen. But I was already tightening the thread. It started with a phone call. Not for me, no, I was too smart to leave my fingerprints on anything. I had someone else do it. Linda. My oldest friend. Widow. Sharp as a whip. And the one person Amanda didn't know was in town. "Call the house line around 10 a.m. tomorrow," I told her in a whisper the night before, hidden under the comforter in the storeroom. "Ask for Amanda. Tell her you're from Trueway Compliance and you're just following up on the flagged transfers to the offshore account. That's it. Say nothing else. Don't even give a real number. Just let it hang there." Linda chuckled. "You sure about this, Evie?" "Oh," I said, smiling in the dark. "I'm counting on her panicking." The next morning, I made myself small again. Frail. The unassuming mother-in-law no one pays attention to. I crept into the kitchen with my mug of warm water, just as Amanda was doing her daily performance at the table, yoga mat out, green juice in hand, scrolling through her phone like some influencer in training. Then the phone rang. She looked confused. No one ever called the landline. "Hello," she answered, still half scrolling. There was a pause. Her expression changed. Eyes narrowed. I'm sorry, who is this?" I sipped my tea in silence. My back was turned, but I was watching her reflection in the microwave door. "I think you have the wrong, what? Offshore account?" "I don't," she stood up, fast. "I don't know anything about listen, I can't, don't call here again." Click. She stood still for a moment. Then she turned, and saw me standing there like I hadn't heard a word. "Everything all right?" I asked softly. She blinked fast. "Yes. Just, robocalls." I nodded, eyes innocent. "Oh. The ones that pretend they know your business? Terrible, those." Amanda forced a smile, but her hand trembled slightly as she picked up her smoothie again. Hook. Line. Next came the suspicion. She started locking her office door. Hiding her laptop. Double-checking the camera angles in the house. Watching me. Good. Let her squirm. Let her wonder. That night, I planted the second seed. "I heard something strange earlier," I said to my son quietly after dinner. "Amanda was on the phone, and I don't know, I could be wrong, but it sounded like someone was accusing her of fraud. Offshore accounts or something." He frowned. "What? Mom, that doesn't sound right. Amanda would never." "I know," I interrupted gently, laying my hand over his. "I just wanted you to be careful. Don't sign anything unless you've read it. Okay?" He nodded, brushing it off. But I saw the flicker of concern. I didn't need him to believe me yet. I just needed him to start watching. Then came the envelope. One night, when Amanda left her purse on the kitchen stool, I slipped it in, a fake invoice with a fake logo from a fake lawyer's office, claiming pending review of her business account activity. I knew she'd find it in the morning. And she did. She stormed into the storeroom like a hurricane, waving the paper in my face. "What is this?" she demanded. "Is this you? Are you trying to scare me?" I blinked up at her from the cot, still wrapped in my blanket like a helpless old woman. "What are you talking about?" "This letter. It says my name, my firm." "Who gave you this?" I looked confused. "I didn't give you anything. I haven't even left the room today." She stared at me, hard. But doubt was creeping in. She couldn't prove anything. And that's when I saw it, the first crack. The first little fracture in her perfect composure. "Good." I smiled faintly. "Amanda, maybe you should get some rest. You've been so tense lately." She stormed out. But that night, I heard her crying in the shower. You see, Amanda wasn't strong. She was spoiled. Built on smoke and mirrors. She didn't know how to handle pressure, not real pressure. So I kept turning up the heat. Whispers. Notes. Glances. A few misplaced documents slipped under her office door. An old photo of her and the man she told my son she never saw again. I'd found it in her deleted files months ago. She was unraveling. And she still didn't know how much I knew. For weeks, I let her believe she still had control. Amanda started unraveling like a badly stitched dress, pulling at thread after thread, trying to fix holes she didn't even understand. She changed passwords. She kept her phone in her bra. She started whispering into her AirPods while pacing the kitchen. But she never once imagined that the old woman in the storeroom was 10 steps ahead. Because I wasn't just watching anymore. I was ready. One morning, while Amanda dropped the kids off at school and my son was still at work, I walked straight into her home office. I knew the code. She thought I didn't, but I'd seen her tap it in 100 times. 1969, her birth year. Predictable. I opened the drawer, lifted the false bottom, and found exactly what I needed. The dummy ledger for her consulting business. The forged documents for power of attorney. And the final nail in her coffin, a list of scheduled withdrawals, with my son's name printed under authorization. She was getting ready to wipe him clean. That wasn't just betrayal. That was theft. I scanned every page and sent it to a friend, an attorney I used to clean houses for, years ago, who always said, "Evelyn, if you ever need help, I got you." Well, now I needed help. "I want this airtight," I told him over the phone. Because I'm not just going to stop her. I want everyone in that room to see her for what she is. He didn't even hesitate. Say the word. So I did. The next part was easy. I made a request to my son, calm and sweet, just like the mother he thought he knew. I'd love to have one big family dinner. Just us. No guests. No pretense. I'll cook. One last evening before I go stay with my sister for a while. He frowned. "You're leaving?" I smiled. "I think it's time." Amanda overheard the whole thing, and the smile she gave me was pure poison dipped in sugar. "Of course," she said, kissing me on the cheek. "We'll make it special." She thought she was winning. But what she didn't know was, dinner was her stage. And I was about to pull the curtain. I spent all day preparing. Not just the food, the timing, the placement, the details. I made her favorite dishes, because I wanted her relaxed. Comfortable. Off guard. I set the table just right. Candlelight. Wine glasses. The good silver. But what Amanda didn't know was that I'd already slipped something into her bag, not poison, not anything dangerous. Just a small USB drive. One of the kids would accidentally find it during dessert. And ask, "Mommy, what's this?" The plan was perfect. That night, we all sat down together like a happy little family. My son. Amanda. The kids. Me. She was glowing. She thought this was her victory dinner, her farewell to the woman she shoved into a closet. "Oh, Evelyn," she said sweetly, sipping her wine. "I hope you know how grateful we are for everything you've done. Truly. You've always supported us." I smiled. "It's been an honor. Watching your life unfold. Learning from you." She smirked. "Learning from me?" "Yes," I nodded, eyes steady. "Especially about who people really are when they think no one's watching." She tilted her head, suspicious. But before she could respond, one of the kids reached under the chair and pulled out the flash drive. "Mommy, look. What's this doing in your purse?" Amanda's face dropped. My son looked up. "Amanda?" She reached across the table quickly, grabbing the drive. "It's nothing. Just backup files for my office." I wiped my hands on a napkin and stood. "Actually, I think it's something much more interesting than that." I turned to my son. "Would you mind grabbing your laptop? Let's take a quick look." Amanda stood too, voice suddenly rising. "This is insane. Why are you listening to her? She's been acting strange for weeks." I cut her off, calm and steady. "I've been watching, Amanda. And I've seen enough." He looked between us, unsure. Then he slowly left the room. Amanda turned to me, whispering sharp as glass, "What the hell are you doing?" I looked her dead in the eye. "Ending this. Tonight." My son came back with his laptop, plugged in the drive, and pulled up the files. At first, it was quiet. Just a few documents. Some bank transfers. A scanned signature. Then he opened the spreadsheet. The one labeled Final Sweep, August. Amanda lunged forward to close the screen, but he caught her wrist midair. "Sit down," he said, his voice shaking. She froze. "Explain this," he demanded. "Explain why you're moving thousands from our accounts into your name. Explain why my mother's signature is on a POA I never saw. Explain the offshore accounts." Amanda stuttered. "It's not what you think. She's manipulating you. This is all fake. She's always had a problem with me." I stepped forward, voice firm. "Then let's call the lawyer." I slid a card across the table. "My attorney's number." Amanda stared at it like it might burn her. My son didn't even look at her. He just stood up and walked out of the room. Amanda called after him, desperate now. "Daniel. Wait. You're just going to believe her? She's trying to ruin us." He stopped at the doorway. "She didn't ruin us," he said. "You did." The next morning, Amanda was gone. She didn't wait to explain. She didn't try to fix it. She packed a single bag, slammed the front door, and vanished without a word, not even to the kids. My son sat on the porch for hours that day, staring out into the yard where they used to play with their water guns in summer. He looked broken. And as much as I wanted to feel triumphant, I didn't. I just felt tired. Because yes, I'd exposed Amanda. I'd torn off her mask, right at the table where she used to serve judgment like wine. But that victory came at a price. My son's heart. The kids' stability. Our peace. She left behind more than silence. She left debt. Emails. Legal notices. Agreements she'd signed in both their names. My son had to freeze the accounts, cancel credit cards, and call the firm she claimed to consult for, only to find out she'd never worked there. It was all smoke. All mirrors. And now, we were sifting through the ashes. One night, I found my son sitting alone in the kitchen, staring at the torn corner of a birthday card she'd once written him. "She said we were building a future," he whispered, almost to himself. I thought I was protecting her, but all along, she was draining us. I sat down beside him, laying my hand on his shoulder. "You were protecting her," I said gently. "But protection has to go both ways. Otherwise, it's just sacrifice. He looked at me then, really looked at me. And for the first time in years, I saw my boy. Not the husband trying to impress. Not the man crushed under someone else's charm. But the son I raised. And in his eyes was guilt. Why didn't I see it? He asked. Why didn't I listen to you sooner? I didn't say, I told you so. I just squeezed his hand and said the only truth that mattered. You see now. That's enough. Amanda didn't fight the attorney's case. She knew we had her. Forged documents, bank records, her voice on a recording from one of her secret calls. It didn't go to court. She signed a no-contest agreement, forfeited claims to any shared assets, and disappeared. But the stain lingered. The neighbors asked quiet questions. The school sent home concerned letters. My grandkids asked, "When's Mommy coming back?" And I had to swallow my pain and say, "She won't be gone forever, sweethearts. But for now, she needs time." Not because she deserved kindness, but because my grandkids deserved peace. And as for me? Well, I left the storeroom. But not just physically. I left the part of me that stayed quiet too long. The part that let people push me aside, call me old, assume I was harmless. I moved into the upstairs guest room, the one Amanda always kept off limits for herself. I put fresh flowers by the window. Took the curtains down. Let the light in. This house was finally mine again. Not because I owned it, but because I'd earned my place in it. One evening, months later, my son called me to the living room. He had something behind his back. "I've been thinking," he said, eyes soft. "You came here to help us. You gave up everything, your home, your freedom, your time, and we treated you like a burden." I said nothing. Just waited. He pulled out a velvet box. Inside was a silver chain with a pendant shaped like a key. "We had it made," he said, nodding toward the kids peeking in from the hallway. "Because you're not a guest in this house. You're the reason it still stands." I held the pendant in my hand, stunned. "You gave me the storeroom," I said quietly. "And now you're giving me the whole house?" He smiled. "I'm giving you what you always deserved." Sometimes, the people we overlook are the ones holding everything together. And sometimes, being quiet isn't weakness, it's strategy. Amanda thought she won by pushing me into the shadows. But from that little room, I learned everything I needed to bring the truth to light. Not with violence. Not with drama. But with patience. With proof. With love for a family that forgot who I was, and who I still am. You see, I was never just fine in the storeroom. I was watching. Waiting. And when the time came, I walked out with my head held high, and the whole house behind me. If someone's ever tried to silence you, make you feel small, or treat your kindness like weakness, don't break. Don't shrink. Just wait. Because the truth always finds its moment. And when it does, you'll be the one with the last word.